that reward is seeing that customer at the end of that job, you know, with the smile on their face, wanting to hug your neck, thanking you. So that's the reward. Katrina was probably the storm I'll never forget. We were on the coast about 3.5 months. Mike and I would rotate every 2 weeks. I would go down in the vehicle and Mike would get in the vehicle and come home, and I would stay there and work 2 weeks and then come back to Tupelo, and we did it over and over for about 3 months, 3.5 months. I can't remember exactly. So my first trip down, Brian and Mike had left. We were staying in campers, running generators because there was no electricity. We'd have to go sit in line for 2 hours, 3 hours, however long it took to get gasoline to put in the generators every day. So nobody wanted that chore. Everybody wanted to work. They didn't want to be the one designated to go get the gas. But they were on a Church of Latter-day Saints, I believe that's what the church was called, that when I got there and I walk in, of course they have a lot of, you know, temporary help, pulling up glue down carpet. And I'll never forget, I walk into the gymnasium there, and Uncle Gary, he had went and purchased a four-wheeler to pull up the carpet, and he and Mike was on the back of it, and you cut the little carpet in little strips and wrap a 2x4 around it, and we about wore that four-wheeler out. I did a job for a guy, I don't think I ever met him, not sure how we got the call. We did go in and do a complete, it was about, seemed like it was 5 or 6 foot deep in his home. So we had to take out all of the drywall from floor to ceiling, dispose of all the contents. Back in 2012, Brian and Mike, they were already headed to up to the storm in Newark, New Jersey, and they were on the road. So they called and said they needed Kurt and I to hook up to the generator and to head that way to, I believe they were in Maryland that night. So Kurt and I left out about 5 the next morning, and that was on Halloween. We traveled on up to Pennsylvania, and we were driving from Pennsylvania up to, I believe it was Rockaway, New York, for a couple of days, which was about 2-hour travel time, both directions every morning, every evening for a couple of days before we could actually move closer up to New Jersey. I think we flew back in the night before Thanksgiving, so we were there about a month doing storm work there. I do remember a lady in the Bronx. I walked in and she said, "Sir, where are you from?" And I said, "Mississippi." She said, "Oh my Lord, I grew up in Mississippi." I said, "Really?" I said, "What part?" She said, "Lexington, Mississippi." I said, "Well, I grew up in a little town called Vaden, which is 20 miles from Lexington," and she just thought that was the coolest thing, that she had a southern boy up there taking care of her water damage. You know, she was very special. She was very thankful that I was there to take care of her, and when she learned I was from Mississippi, she, you know, it really brought a relationship that, you know, she was very thankful. So I remember getting a call saying that the tornado was coming through Tupelo. So it was a couple of days before I got back here after it came through. Actually, when I got back and started, you know, traveling the Joyner area and the areas, I was like, wow, we were putting tarps on houses, and it seemed like every house over there had tarps on it. We were really busy in production then. I don't remember how many crews we had out and other franchises in helping. But yes, it was, looking back on it, it was very devastating. Well, we've been family oriented since day one. I've seen Dana and Mike's kids grow up along with Brian's, and a lot of employees, kids as well, that I've, you know, pick at their kids, and they got to see my kid grow up, and so we still keep in touch with their kids today, the ones that are still here with us, and it's amazing to look back and you think about 20 years ago that you're dropping off a kid at daycare and you know, picking up a kid at daycare, and now we're looking at grandkids and kids that are graduating. So it's really special to have that relationship.